Have you got Saab 9.3 no crank? Has someone suggested to you that maybe the ECU's bad? If you turn the ignition on, do all the lights come on as normal, except the engine management light flickers? And are you getting relays clicking like mad that sound like they're coming from somewhere around your feet? Or maybe from behind here? Get this trim off by pulling it out from under the seal and backwards, and then finagling it around the bonnet release handle. And there's a relay attached to the bodywork on a stud just in front of this big connector here. Get your hands on that and see if it's that relay that's clicking like mad. You'll be able to feel and hear it if it is. This is the fuel pump relay. It's worth knowing that this is where the fuel pump relay is in case you have any other fuel delivery problems. And if it is that, come round to the front under the bonnet and take this cover off this fuse box that's in front of the battery by squeezing together these two clips, lifting up. Turn the ignition on again, and as well as the clicking at the fuel pump relay, are these two relays clicking as well? Don't despair. Problems like that are always, well, almost always, something really simple. I was driving along and the car just died on me. At the instant it died and I lost all engine power, the relay inside started clicking like mad, the lights were on and the EML was flashing. I was very lucky. Some kind souls who were walking past helped me to push the car up onto a wide pavement, and we were able to put it in a safe place, and I waited for the RAC. The RAC man spent half an hour poring over it and couldn't find what was wrong with it and ended up towing me home. The answer, if you get these symptoms, check this first. The earth connection at the ECU, which is this top right bolt here. Not just visually, but if you've got a digital multimeter, check the resistance reading between the battery negative terminal and the casing of the ECU, and you should have pretty much 0 ohms. I was reading 44 ohms, which told me that that earth connection was dodgy. So I took that earth connection off and I measured the resistance from the battery negative just to the end of this earth wire that goes to the ECM, and I was still getting 44 ohms. So it wasn't purely the connection, it's that the problem is actually in the cabling, probably a joint somewhere in there, and maybe that's gone bad, who knows. If you don't have an ohm meter, try this. Use one of your jump leads to set up a temporary earth connection from the negative of the battery to the casing of your ECM. Or if you can find a bit of wire, hold it at one end and the other, then get somebody to turn the ignition on for you, or do it yourself if you've managed to do this. And if the clicking has gone away, try to start the car. If it starts, this is definitely the problem. So the solution I've employed, rather than trying to trace this wire back through the harness, which could take hours and involve taking the harness to bits, I've just simply created a fresh earth to the ECU. And I've bolted it down into the spare hole on the ECU in this corner here. If you look very carefully at this wire inside this heat protection, you'll see that it's quite a substantial piece of cable. It looks like it's at least 2.5 millimeters, if not 4 millimeters cross-sectional area. So what I've done is I've used a bit of ordinary domestic 4mm earth cable, which I've covered with some heat shrink in black, and at each end put a crimp connector with a 6mm hole in it. And I've connected it, like I say, to this bottom left corner as we look at it on the ECU, and I've connected it to this stud on my new cylinder head that I've recently had fitted. I connected it there because I've already got a new earth lead that I fitted about 2 years ago, which comes from the battery negative to the block there. You would have seen that in my previous video about fitting new power cables to the battery, which I'll link to that in the description. If you've not got a good guaranteed earth, or you've never fitted an additional earth to your engine, well, for one, that is a very good idea, because the standard earth, which is connected to the body underneath the battery tray, suffers from corrosion, and I have done a video on that. Again, link to that in the description. In the meantime, if you haven't got that, is take your new earth all the way back to the negative on the battery. And as soon as I'd done that, the engine fired up straight away. You would never have known that anything had been wrong. I've since been out and given it a good run for over an hour, including giving it some real clog, not so much as a hiccup. See, I told you, it's something simple. It always is. Even when an engine blows up, it's usually just a bolt that let go. If you got value from this video, please like it, share it with any other 9.3 owners that you know, and I shall see you next time.